Bale and Friends. Casey and Monica. And Monica.
Hello, this is Ann with Andale Homestead.
Hello, everyone. It is Casey over at Ormsby Farm, the Halfway Homestead.
And I'm Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch. Welcome into another podcast episode. And I guess it's podcast, YouTube, whatever it is. We're here and we are talking about rebel canning, guys. Not just rebel canning, but what you don't want to do when you rebel can, because there's lots of ways to can, and we'll explain to you what rebel canning is if you don't know, if you're new to this, and we're going to give you all the things that you don't want to do so that you can still be safe while you be a little rebellious.
I love that.
You know, we like a little rebellion when it comes to canning, and that brings us to our sponsor of today's episode. It's going to be our Nesco electric pressure canner. Now, we talk about this all the time. Now, this actually is a little rebellious itself, but the Nesco electric pressure canner is your all-in-one must-have canner in your room, in your kitchen. You can water bath and steam, you can pressure can, you can cook rice, you can actually pressure cook. Get rid of all those other little gadgets you have around your kitchen and get you a Nesco electric pressure canner or a Carry, same one. Go ahead and scan our QR code right there at the top. It will take you over to our Linktree link, and you can get it on Amazon. And it costs you no more money, but it shows Amazon you came from the Hay Bale, and they're like, hey, I kind of like them, and I think I kind of want to support them. But rebel canning, we went over and over and thinking, okay, who could we have on for rebel canning? And we all came to the same person, like simultaneously at one time. And we had her on a couple other seasons ago, but I wonder, who in the world have we got for this episode?
Hello, who is this?
Bloo!
Hello, Bloo from Self-Reliance.
How you doing?
Now, Bloo, did you know that your episode on our last season was the most downloaded, the rebel canning episode?
Really?
Yeah, I guess everybody loves the rebelness of you.
Wow.
Right. How about that? Isn't that awesome?
Now, Bloo, explain to the people that maybe don't know exactly what rebel canning, quote unquote, is. When people say rebel canning, what does rebel canning mean? And why does it not really pertain to you?
Rebel canning is basically anything that is not under the American rules, and all of the bull book stuff, basically. It doesn't pertain to me because I don't live in a country that lives by those rules or does pressure canning, because there's only like 3 countries that do pressure canning. The rest of us everywhere else in the world don't really do it. I mean, it's leaking in slowly, but we just don't. Most of us can't afford it, to be fair. So we just use the same stuff as we've been doing for forever, really.
And tell our people, just in case somebody out there has been living in a strange land, where you are. Where do you live?
Okay, well, I'm originally from Australia, but I live in the UK.
There we go. Living in the UK.
I think the accent may have been a little hint too.
Australian, UK.
Bloo, when you say that you don't pressure can, that means you, for meats, for beans, anything that you water bath can, just for a longer extended of time.
Yep.
So on our last episode, we kind of explained what rebel canning is and how it is different over where Bloo is. And once you're finished with this episode, click the link down in the show notes. You can go and listen to it. It really is a great episode. But we're talking about tonight what not to do. Because listen, some of us because I always like to throw Miss Ann under the bus and be like, Ann's a rebel too. Me and Monica already say that we're rebels. But there's even stuff even rebels won't do, because rebels does not mean that you don't follow certain guidelines like cleaning your jars, that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk about that tonight. Monica, if you had to say one thing that is a must not do, what not to do, what would that be? Are we making sense here? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. So I was thinking about it. One of the things that seems very rebellious is reusing jar lids. Okay. You reusing the tops of those jars. That's a rebellious thing. I do it all the time. And I don't have those cute little expensive toddler lids that people like to buy. The ones that are like that super hard plastic and they have the seal and whatever. I don't have that. I have regular old ball or whatever we have, and they might even be the ones that Casey really loves, and I be reusing them all the time. And as long as they look good, I use them. Now that's one thing I won't do. If there's damage to the lid, if there's rust on that lid, that the lid part, not the ring, even the ring, if there's any damage to the lid or the ring, any part of the area that would seal that jar up tight when it goes into the canner, I don't reuse it if it's damaged. But if it is clean and it's looking good when it comes out of there and I crack it off the top and it's still really nice and it looks solid, I will reuse that and reuse that until it doesn't look good. And I've had a lot of success with that. I've had a lot of problems. So maybe that's a little rebellious of me. However, I will not use the ones when they're damaged. And I feel like that's a mistake people can easily make when they're trying to be a little rebellious. They're like, well, I'm going to reuse it again. Now, Blue, you don't have the same 2-piece lids that we have, right?
No.
You have a solid lid.
Yes.
At what point do you not use those anymore?
When they're damaged.
It's the same as me. It's just, if they're damaged.
If they're showing any sign of rust, like if they get scratched or something on the inside and you sometimes see some rust, if you've got a high acid product that's going to get into that and you'll see it on the inside of the lid and you're just like, no, that's not happening anymore. So that one gets relegated to like the dry store pantry or the shed, depending, it could end up with, a bunch of screws in a jar and
there you go.
Yeah, that's ours too. It'll go to dry goods or like throw it in the fridge and use it for those leftovers, because I'll store some leftovers in mason jars because it's easy for Eric to take to work and heat up the next day. But I'm not going to pressure can or even, water bath. I'm not going to can them again if there's damage to those rings or any of those seals. If there's any damage, rust or any kind of dings in it and they're kind of warped a little bit, just use it for something else. It just doesn't make sense to take that chance, because the thing is that if I try to use it for a jar to reseal again, the potential for me to ruin what food I am trying, because if it doesn't set that second time, if it's leftovers especially, and then I'm trying to can my leftovers and now I cook them again for that amount of time and then it doesn't seal, oh my gosh, that's like, I just put it through a whole nother cooking session.
Right.
It's not going to be good after a while. There's no point in trying. So I'd rather just put that to the side and use it for something else. So that is one thing I won't do as a rebel canner. I just won't use them if they're damaged in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to put it to the side, like Blue said, and use it for something else. Yeah.
That's right. So I had seen a girl, and honestly, I believe that she showed me that you can reuse like pickle jar lids and olive jar lids and any kind of lid that will suck down in there. I think that's pretty amazing. So one thing that I had thought of when I first started canning, I didn't know that you can't put your jars right on the bottom of the pot. I have, however, heard that you could put a washcloth on the bottom of your pot inside if you must, but that a rack is needed. So that's something that, and the reason for that is, what is that, Blue, do you think, when you're
you know how you get the gas bubbles and the jars start to rattle? All it is to do with the possibility of the jar rattling too many times and shattering. So, like, I always put a towel in mine, tea towel, could be a hand towel, could be a face cloth, and I just chuck it in the bottom and it stops that rattling so it doesn't run the risk of cracking the jar.
Okay, so you don't have to use a rack. You just put a
No.
towel or something. Because, I mean, let's face it, the UK is a little bit older than the USA. And they've kind of been doing things a little bit longer than we have. Okay, so a rag in the bottom, and that's to keep the jars from breaking.
And that is true. I will say that I was in a rush one time, and I used my Nesco electric pressure canner, and I couldn't find that little rack that goes in the bottom of it. And I was like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I've done this for a while. And I put 3 in there, and I was really excited because I was canning up some soup for the winter because that's one of my favorite things to do. And it cracked 2 of my 3 jars. And I don't ever have cracked jars. And it cracked it down at the bottom. So you have the top part right at the bottom was a good old solid crack. And that's because I just was a little too rebellious. And you're just wasting stuff that you put hard time into. You spend a lot of time making that food, a lot of time prepping. There are some things, and that's why we're talking about them, to not do because you're just going to waste the time that you spend.
That's right. That's right.
And for me, one thing that I will not do is I'm a good solid cleaning my jars. I'm not that rebellious where I'm like, I'll give it a good old rinse. It's being brought up to a boil. Now, if I'm water bathing the stuff, I may do a little hot water rinse, but pressure canning, I always do give her a good scrubby dub inside, outside, just because, that is where the bacteria and all the yuckiness comes is from the pressure canning stuff. So that's one for me that I will never not do is I do wash the jars thoroughly. I don't sterilize them, but I do wash them.
So, Blue, in the UK, we here in the US want to make sure that there's at least an inch of water above all our jars when we're water bathing. Do you have that same kind of requirement?
It depends on what's in the jar.
Okay.
If it's more liquid, it can go up to the collar or the base of the neck of the jar. So just underneath the screw bit. If it's a thicker item, it needs to go to the shoulder, which is the bit which bends in on the jar.
Okay.
If you know what I'm looking around to see if I've got a jar. I've got a jar. Here we go. Hang on.
I don't have one
handy. So that's what we call the collar there. That's the collar. So anything that's liquid can go to there. Anything that's a little bit more, it needs to come to about here. If it's a bit thicker or has some more sort of oomph to it, it needs to be about here.
Now, see, I've been taught that I'm supposed to cover all my jars with an inch of water. And there is also an advantage to the Nesco or the other, what is the other name of the other canner? I can't think of it. The Carry canner is the one I own. There is an advantage to that because I can can one jar if I want to. I can water bath, I can heat, I can pressure can one jar. It doesn't have to be. Do you feel like you have to have, like in those other pressure canners or water bath canners, I've been told you don't have any empty space? Is that true?
I do mix canning. I know that's a little bit, I would call that more advanced. So yeah, what I do is I put 2 or 3 different things in there. So if I don't have enough to fill up the pot that I'm using, but I know that I've got something else that I can do, I will start it off as a cold water thing. And then when it comes to the boil, I'll have the next lot ready that's already hot. And then I'll put that one in as a hot one.
Okay.
But I think I misunderstood you just before as well.
Yeah, we've been told to just, like, if you have an empty space in your canner, then you need to have an empty, like a jar that's filled with water.
Yeah, you need to fill the space.
You need to fill the space, even if you
we just get a smaller pot.
Yeah. Well, see, because a lot of people pressure can, right? And they have these big pressure canners that fit 7 quarts. Now you have to find 7 quarts of something to pressure can. And it's so incredibly frustrating. Yeah. But so if you're water bath canning, you can change your pot to fit the size that you're doing.
Get a smaller pot.
Exactly. Because it's not a standard pot. That's the thing. So you have the luxury of changing that pot, right? You have the options. Whereas if you're bound to your rules here and you're following those rules, then you're going to stick with the pot that you're in, right? That you're given. Because in your brain, that's what you're told, right? Well, I'm pressure canning. I'm doing it this way. I've got to do it this way. So if you're not bound to certain rules, then, so if you really wanted to water bath all of your items, you can just find a smaller pot and do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And if your pot isn't tall enough to actually cover your jars with water, you can actually lay the jar on the side.
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, you're laying jars on their side while you're
so rebel.
Wait. Back it up. So let's just say your water bath cannon, you've got like a couple different things. They're mixed. So the couple different things, but they all are fine water bathing for the same period of time. Let's just say 3 hours.
Yeah.
And you don't have enough space. So you have that one jar and you can just lay it on its side.
Yeah.
And it's not going to affect the way it cans. It's fine.
No.
The air will still come out of the top like it's supposed to?
Well, it doesn't have to because it's a lug lid.
So because it's not the same lid.
Different lids. You can't do it because you've got the 2-piece system. If you're using the 1-piece lid, nothing's coming out of there. And if it is coming out, that's because you haven't tightened the jar enough. So you can put it on its side as long as it's got water over the top of it and you're fine. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay. So as long as with the lug lids, you have a little more freedom to do some of the things that you might want to do. So, and when you talk about the lug lids, for anybody who's not listening or I'm not knowing what she's talking about, those lids that a lot of times you find on your like your salsa jars, your pickles, like I keep my salsa jars and I reuse them for all kinds of things because they have the little there you go. The little lug lids. Yeah. There you go. So that's a lug lid. So and you reuse those.
That's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So as long as you've done that so it's not going to go anywhere, you can.
I've never heard that ever.
It's not tight enough. Okay. So you're going to know. Yeah. Right? So because it will drip on you. And if it is dripping on you, it's not tight enough. So you need to give it a bit more and it'll be, it's fine.
So as a rebel canner, that's one thing I won't do as well is I do my very best not to over tighten my rings when I put them in the jar. I mean, I might do all kinds of other stuff. And yes, sometimes I may take a quick little wipe-see down of the thing. I take my little paper towel and I fold it up and I'm like, quick ring. And I'm not like, there are times where too, I wipe off the rim and then I feel the rim and I'm like, shoot, I just put oil on it. And I'm like, man, it's fine. I just wipe it off real quick and then put my stuff on. I will not over tighten. Matter of fact, I'll tighten it and then I'll like untighten it and then double finger tighten just to make sure I have it at like that good tightness. Because I guess my concern is that I'm going to over tighten and then the jar is going to break because I've had broken jars before.
But it's also, you've got the worry of the flat piece of the lid buckling.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, I don't want to ruin
that because it's all one piece.
I want lug lids.
I know, me too.
And I reuse mine probably 7 to 10 times before they get relegated to the dry store pantry.
I'm totally going to start canning my, like some stuff in my old salsa jars. Like all of my Tostitos and all of my generic salsa jars with the lug lids. I'm going to start canning stuff in them just to try it. I might do water in them first just to make sure.
That's something else I have a question about because, we have our specific canning jars here and they are a thicker glass, but, my Aunt Peg, she's such a rebel. She would say, oh, that mayonnaise jar is just fine. What are you talking about? Yeah. But it's a thinner glass. Is that true? Is that something that you can use any style of glass?
Okay, so if it's on the shelf in a supermarket and it's been sealed, it's already gone through a water birthing process.
Oh.
None of it's pressure canned.
Oh, okay.
Because factories don't want a bomb in their building.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, you're right.
I was about
All
to say,
right. So it's water bathed. All of it's water bathed. Everything that you buy on the shelves has gone through a water bath process.
That's crazy to think. I never
And I
even
actually rang up the Mars factory to ask them about it.
Wow.
And they're the ones that make Dolmio and all of those sort of things. So I asked them about it and I said, what's the process? Because I really need to know, because I'm teaching this stuff. I would like to know what you guys do. And then they told me.
Wow. I need to watch more of those how it's made programs. I can't with this. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm totally using all my salsa jars over.
I was
All
gonna
them
say-
liquids.
And have you not used a because I've used a mayonnaise jar before. I've kept
Well,
those, the glass ones, not the plastic
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah,
And if
mine
you're
don't have
worried
plastic
about not
lids
getting
on.
them off, of the lids off, all you have to do is get yourself like a butter knife or a dinner knife. And you want to get it up. Right. So these lids have little
Ridges, yeah.
ridges, right? You want to get it up before the ridge and just pop it.
Okay.
And it'll pop, but you won't have damaged the lid.
That's how I do
But
my
if you don't have a jar, like a lug lid, like opener thingy, you know.
I have 17 and 15-year-olds, so that's what I make them do. Open up the jars that I can't get. But yes, you take a butter knife and go boop. I have done that.
Yeah.
Easy.
That's
Yeah,
right.
butter knife. That's how it works.
Oh, I am
Open.
poor Eric. He's gonna be so mad at me. He's gonna be like, "Why are you saving all these jars?" I'll be like, "Cause we can. Because we can."
Literally.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm gonna be
okay.
saving way more.
Over here, I mean, I was trying desperately to think when Casey asked all of us, what do you make sure that we do not do when we're canning? And I was trying to think of a food that I absolutely would not can, and I still can't think of anything. Is there something that you absolutely would strongly suggest not to can?
No, but there are ones that are more difficult than others, and I would suggest running before you walking before you run.
Gotcha.
I mean, like I've been doing this now for quite a few years. I'm not counting. Right? I'm not
Just
counting.
counting.
You don't have to give us any numbers.
Yeah.
But I still can't get milk. I can't do it. It turns to cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not that worried about it, to be fair. It doesn't bother me because I can still use that.
Mhm.
I can still use the product and go and make myself some cream cheese later on.
Yeah.
You know, but it's still a bunch of jars that could have had something else in it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't really kind of worry about dairy so much.
I have actually canned milk.
Did it come out?
I made my own like condensed milk and canned it.
Condensed milk's different.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just talking about like straight
Regular.
milk.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't like open cans of condensed milk and then can them in glass jars. It was
Yeah.
regular milk that I cooked down
Ooh.
to make it more condensed.
Look at
and
you,
then-
Fancy.
Well, it was when everybody couldn't leave their homes, and you thought that the grocery store was going to dry up and blow away. And
You
I
needed
was
condensed milk to make your pumpkin pies for
I did.
Thanksgiving.
yes, and I wanted to make sure if the grandkids came that I could potentially have some sort of milk for them for their cereal.
Yeah.
That's why Casey and I be getting powdered milk from Augustin Farms.
I was just about to say,
We don't even-
because and that question for Blue was a really great question to kind
was
of
really good.
round table to go around it.
Mhm.
Because I'm with Blue. I won't can the milk. I have my powdered milk. But one thing that I personally, Casey, Ormsby Farm, the Halfway Homestead, am scared to can just because I haven't done it. Not that you can't do it, but is seafood stuff. I have just not gotten the courage yet to do that. And
I'm good with that.
Do
Me
you
too. She cans like whole fish and stuff. Okay, I'd be seeing her slip fish in the jars. We're like, can them up.
Oh,
Yeah.
excuse me. Okay.
Yeah, Blue can
So
seafood.
nervous about seafood, and I know you can. I'm just like, it's one thing that I'm just like, nah. I'll buy it in bulk from Azure Standard, the salmon in a can.
I can crab soup every year because
Oh,
I like
really?
crab soup, and my kids will eat it if it's in the freezer. So I put it in jars and then put it in the very back of my pantry, and no one can find it except for me because I'm stingy. And crab's expensive.
Well, Monica, what is your one that you probably wouldn't?
I don't know. I mean, I have never done milk. Not because I haven't. It's just because I haven't tried.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I would can anything. I don't think there's anything I wouldn't can. If I had time and I had the ability to, I would do anything. But yeah, maybe milk right now, just because it's not a priority for me. It's not
Yeah.
something I really care to. I mean, but I'll be canning up some nacho cheese. I can up all kinds of dairy stuff.
But and Blue, tell me if I'm wrong on this. I had a subscriber that emailed me because I would talk about doing the nacho cheese, and she said, "Do you know it cans better if you add just equal, well, not equal parts, because it's 1 part of the cheese sauce and a half part water, that it just cans better." And that it will heat, you're pressure canning it, so it will thicken back up with the water. And I did it, and I'm telling you, it
Works
tasted
better.
not
Mhm.
awful.
I don't know. I mean, I can cream cheese, and Eric will pop open a small jar of cream cheese because it was back when people were freaking out they couldn't get evaporated milk for their
Yes.
children and grandchildren. I was buying cream cheese because
Oh.
Eric eats them with he was eating them with like pork rinds and all kinds of stuff, and I was like, well, I'm gonna get me some cream cheese. And so I got a bunch of blocks of cream cheese. I shoved them into jelly jars, and I put a bunch of it on my shelf. And every now and then he'll pull one out and he'll open it up and he'll be like, "This looks gross," but all you do is give a little stir and it's perfect. And he opens it up, eats from it, puts it in the fridge, and finishes it off in a week. And
I've
it's
never heard
cream
of
cheese.
that.
Good.
Cream cheese. It's just cream cheese.
Never
So,
heard of
yeah.
canning
I mean, I
cream.
don't think there's anything I wouldn't do, but maybe the milk thing is probably the one I wouldn't I don't even care to dive into it right now. So I'm like, meh, we're good. I have my dehydrated milk that, freeze
Yeah.
dried powder, the powdered milk. If I need milk and I don't have it in my fridge, I'll be going get me some scoops of that, shake it up and put it in everything. I just keep that now
Shaky.
because I don't have the time to worry about milk going bad on me.
Right.
So
You see, Worth and I don't use hardly any milk. And so every time we
Yeah.
bought it, most of it would go bad.
that's us right now.
And then you pull out a recipe that needs a half a cup of milk or a cup of milk or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, so
Milk
I
powder.
started
I was
canning-
gonna say, yeah, I'm just gonna send both Blue and Ann some of the. I get a Nido.
Oh
milk
yeah.
powder, and I mean, Nido needs to sponsor me as much as I talk about Nido on my channel, because all you do is you can make a cup. It
Yeah.
tells you how to make just a cup of the powder. And once I open it, because when you open stuff, it does have shelf life. The freeze dried stuff does have a shelf life. I then vacuum seal it in mason jars with
Yep.
those lids that may look a little questionable to can, but they're good to vacuum seal it.
Yeah.
Pop them on there, vacuum seal her. She's good for another 10 years.
Yeah.
So and that's what you need. And for you and Worth, for the amount of milk, just get you some. And it's different. Powdered milk and milk powder are two different things.
Now, which one is better?
Milk powder.
Oh, because see, I've gotten the packages of powdered milk and they're kind of yucky.
No, you want milk. I'm gonna send it. I'm making a note. I'm sending Ann some.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that people do when it comes to canning that they would say is pretty rebellious overall. But I think that even for rebel canners, there are certain rules, and I feel like there's not that many rules that we won't. I mean, we break a lot of rules, right? Because we do what we want when it comes to that. We don't necessarily follow what those the alphabet group says to do, but we're clean. We're careful and we're mindful because in the grand scheme of things, we don't want to ruin or lose the food that we're trying to preserve. The key to what canning is preserving your food the best way you know how. And we're not going to be so foolish as to do something that would put that food in jeopardy. And I think that's the most important part, right? What would you not do? What's the biggest mistake you can do when you're even rebellious canning? It's not being careful enough while you're doing it to lose your food. And I say try new things and be excited about trying new things, but be careful and mindful because you don't want to put that food and all the time that you're taking to do that to waste. So Blue, did we miss anything here? What do you think? When you're talking about things you don't want to do, I feel like we touched on most of it.
Yeah, I think for me, being someone who is a little brain foggy, okay, and prone to having naps when they sit down for 30 seconds, I think one of the things is I never forget to set an alarm. Okay, I never forget to set an alarm. I always set an hour alarm.
Awesome.
Okay, so I can check the water bath and make sure that it's got enough water in it and it's not going. It normally won't. Like I normally don't have to check it, after it's started and I've turned it down for 3 hours because the lid's on and it just doesn't evaporate enough to be a worry. But I will always set an alarm because there's always that chance.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because if you lose track of time and you don't know what's going on, then the chance of you ruining that food or losing it, it's there. So
you sit in that sunbeam for that second too long and you are gone.
And your food is the best.
Yeah.
You don't want to waste that food. Well, thank you, Blue, so much. This is Blue's Self-Reliance on YouTube. She's on all the platforms all around, and we adore you. And we thank you so much for coming tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been lots of fun.
Good. I'm glad. I really enjoy these people, so it's fun to have somebody come and have fun with us. Well, thank you all so much for being here on Round the Hay Bale and Hay Bale and Friends. We will be back next week, and don't forget that tomorrow night we will be live at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, so that we can talk about this discussion on what's going on. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're gaining in subscribers here on Round the Hay Bale, and we're so excited about that because we want to have a little giveaway if you guys help us out. All right, we'll talk to you soon now. Bye.
Hay Bale and Friends, and Casey and Monica.